Today we're going to talk about awakened masculinity. What does an awakened man actually embody? Divine masculine, sacred masculine, these words have become buzzwords. And while it is great that there is more awareness around this, it is more important and crucial than ever before that we understand at the core what awakened masculinity truly means. If you are a woman listening to this, then you will learn how to discern whether a man actually embodies awakened masculinity or not. And if you are a man listening to this, then you will learn what is most important to focus on when it comes to your path and journey of embodying your awakened masculine core. And also, what are some of the misconceptions that you might have about this, and what are some of the most common traps that men fall into in this sacred path and journey. My name is Lorin Kren. My mission is to help you experience deep intimacy through the power of masculine and feminine polarity. There are many traits that an awakened man embodies. I'm going to cover 4 specific ones today to make this as practical and as powerful as possible. Number 1 trait, and this is the foundational core trait. All other traits are built upon this trait, and ultimately, as brutal as this sounds, are meaningless unless there is this foundational trait. And this core trait is that he lives with integrity. He is in integrity with the feminine, with life, with everything and everyone. You cannot imagine how intense the work is in my men's groups, in the one-on-one work I do with men, when I help them to reclaim and restore integrity in their life. This might mean that they cheated on their wife, on their partner, or they were texting and flirting with other women, or on a more subtle level they were leaking sexual energy with other women. They might have not been physically betraying or cheating or anything along those lines, but energetically they were leaking energy, which we could also describe as cheating, but that's another topic for another episode. But they're leaking in energy, or texting with a woman without their partner knowing, right? Or just not just this area, but also living out of integrity with in treating other people, other men, right? It's incredible how intense this work is when I help men to restore and reclaim their integrity. Because at the core of awakened masculinity lies integrity. And why? Why is that at the core? Because at the end of the day, all the spiritual work, all the shadow work in the world serves no purpose if there is no integrity, if there are no pure and genuine intentions driving it, behind it. Otherwise, it's all done in the name of the shadow. Yes, you're hearing this correctly. Shadow work done in the name of the shadow. Spiritual work done in the name of the shadow. Because at the end of the day, when we are doing this work from a place of wounding and not from a place of wanting to be in integrity, then we are going to deceive, manipulate. We're going to do all these things in the name of the shadow. And this is what happens to so many people in their path or in their spiritual journey, is they do all these great things, like a man could be meditating, doing breath work, doing all these amazing things which are so crucial, but then lacking integrity. Doing all the spiritual work, but cheating. Doing all the spiritual work, but sleeping or jumping from one relationship to the other. So the key and core foundational trait is integrity. And all other traits are built upon this one. And an awakened man cannot live, cannot breathe without being in highest integrity with everything, every situation, everyone. This means being in integrity with his commitments, with his promises, with how he expresses himself, how he defines himself, how he talks about himself, right? He is in highest integrity. This is his core value, right? This is the most important thing. This is his core devotion. And as the feminine, as a woman, This creates immense trust and safety for you, because this allows you to truly, truly, truly trust a man. It creates incredible polarity and intimacy if you know deep in your heart that the man you are with, he's devoted to living a life, to leaving a legacy of being in highest integrity, of honoring each and every one. And I like to say the soul yearns for nothing else more than to be in integrity, to live in truth, in accordance to your truth, to its truth. So it's just, if there is no integrity, then it doesn't matter what spiritual work he's doing. That is the most important thing to look at, whether he actually embodies his awakened masculine or not. And as a man, if you're listening to this, reclaiming your integrity, that part of you that yearns to be in integrity, is the key thing in your spiritual journey. Everything else is built upon this. The moment you move back in being in highest integrity with life and the feminine is the moment you regain your power. You regain your energy. You can look in the mirror and you can be proud of the man you are and how you are showing up. There is nothing more empowering than this, and there is nothing more draining than looking into the mirror and realizing that you are living a lie. Nothing is more painful than living a lie. And you can deceive maybe everyone, but you cannot deceive your higher self. You cannot deceive the universe. You cannot deceive your soul, your truth, whatever the highest intelligence, whatever you want to call it. So integrity is the core trait. Now, what is the second trait? The second trait that he embodies is grounded spirituality. Why is that so important? One of the most common traps that men fall into is that they step into, or they start doing the spiritual work, but it just makes them lost more in their heads and living from their head and being in the clouds, instead of actually being in their body. Instead of actually standing with both feet on the ground, being fully rooted, opening, activating the root chakra, creating stability and safety in their life. Because at the end of the day, spirituality is about being able to be in our body, to be embodied. Everything else is bypassing. Everything else is escaping the raw and frightening and darker things that lie within us. And this is a very common trap that men fall into. It's all about elevating, higher state of consciousness, quantum leap, quantum this, quantum that. But this is not the deepest work. The deepest work is to actually confront what is really there with us, what is inside our body. Not going up high, 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 but setting our roots deep into the earth. Because only when we set our roots deep into the earth can we then actually start to elevate. Can we actually connect with spirit at the most powerful level and can experience the shifts that we want to experience, accelerated healing, accelerated awakening. But if you try to bypass that without facing the things that are going on in your body, the raw pain, right? You cannot elevate. You cannot awaken in consciousness. So this is very, very important. An awakened man embodies that sense of humbleness, that sense of humility, because he's not trying to go up and just escaping from his body and creating a story about spirituality, but he's actually facing what is truly going on within him, inside his body. His darkest and his biggest shadow. He's facing that. And when you come to that level, when you start to doing that work, that's when what I call grounded spirituality. That's where spirituality truly starts to free you, where you start to embody the teachings rather than have conceptual understandings about these teachings, gather intellectual awareness, but continue to live in your head, but just with more spirit, and put spiritual terms and labels on it, which ultimately is the same thing. I know this is very harsh and this is not easy to hear, but it is the truth. So to make this really clear, Grounded spirituality means he is living in his body. He is fully in his body. And being fully in his body, you feel that through his presence. You feel that through his alertness. You feel him with both feet standing on the ground. As a man, there is no way to miss this state of embodiment. It is what truly nurtures you, what allows you to truly bring and unleash your power and your service and your heart into this world. And with that comes an immense sense of humility and humbleness. And this also creates immense safety, immense trust, immense polarity, and immense intimacy with the feminine. So the focus here is grounded spirituality. You live in your body. You're not constantly in your head and in the clouds, because that is spiritual bypassing the deeper and rawer pain. Now, the third trait that an awakened man embodies is that he is willing and open to receive the feminine oracle. What this means is that he actually listens to the feminine, because he realizes that the feminine has the incredible gift of offering what I call the divine feminine mirror. The feminine oracle, or the feminine heart, has this incredible gift and capacity to show and expose where a man is not fully in integrity, where a man is not fully embodied, grounded spirituality, right? The first two traits we've been talking about. And an awakened man is willing to hear and receive your oracle, even if it is challenging. This doesn't mean he will always jump around in joy or deeply enjoy the experience. It might be extremely challenging, as your feminine heart and oracle has the power to truly, truly pierce through his shadow, to pierce through the illusions or the bullshit that he might be believing about himself. This can be very, very painful, but an awakened man knows that, and he also is aware that his shadow will try to make you as a threat when you express that something doesn't feel safe for you, or that something that he doesn't feel trustworthy to you, or that a certain way how he's showing up feels out of integrity to you, or whatever it is, right? Anything that you are exposing through your voice, through your energy, through your body, one of your many divine gifts as the feminine, this means he's aware of this. And this doesn't mean he's perfect. At times he might get into his shadow, he will be really challenged, but he will always make the effort, or at least fully restore integrity after he has got lost in a while in his shadow, and take responsibility for it. And you will feel this. How do you feel this? You feel seen. You feel met in your deepest truth, in your deepest feminine essence, because he actually listens to you. He knows that you are showing him through your energy the parts about himself that he still needs to work on. And if he works on them, it creates deeper trust and deeper safety for you, which in turn allows you to evolve as well more powerfully and to embody your feminine essence more unapologetically, and this in turn allows both of you and the relationship to evolve. This is the dance of intimacy. It's always in service to both, and he's aware of this. And while he might get challenged, and of course he will get challenged, and he will not always find it immensely pleasurable, at the same time he will also not blame you for it or project his shadow on you and see you as the threat. Instead, he will take responsibility, and he will receive you, and will give his best to receive you. And that is what we're talking about. He's not perfect. He's not the knight in shining armor, but he will give his best to listen to you, to receive your oracle. And as a man, that's one of the most powerful practices you need to be doing with the feminine. One of the most powerful polarity creating, or to create deeper connection, intimacy, and trust with the feminine. Giving your best to receive and listen and hear her oracle. Wow, so powerful, and not defending yourself, blaming her, seeing her as the threat, or anything along those lines. Seeing the gift that she offers. This already changes everything in a relationship. And this is the third trait that an awakened man embodies. And now, what is the fourth trait that an awakened man embodies? The fourth trait is that he is not a pushover. He embodies fierce love. Or we can say the wild man within him, the warrior archetype, right? He's not passive, complacent, right? He's not afraid to speak his truth, to set boundaries, to truly stand for his truth. And the reason why this is so important is because one of the traps that men can fall into in their path of awakening is that they put the feminine on a pedestal. Or they do all the spiritual work, but they lose their spine, their backbone. They lose awareness to their cock and to their balls, right? Their primal, wild, dark masculine energy. I'm talking about dark masculine energy in a conscious expression, of course, only in the conscious expression. And so, even though his practice is to receive your oracle, he will also not be afraid to set boundaries and to speak his truth, to stand in his truth when you, as the feminine, or when a woman projects her wounds onto you. When she projects her wounds onto you, part of your practice is to be able to discern between the two. When is it her oracle and when is it wounds? That's part of your practice of developing and embodying your awakened masculine core in relationship here, specifically in intimacy. And this is just so crucial that you don't put her on a pedestal. You are equals. You are equals. And you are not just blindly taking in whatever it is, whatever, it's all the oracle. No, you are clearly discerning. An awakened man is clearly discerning. And if necessary, he will stand fiercely in his truth and he will express love fiercely as well. And this might be challenging. This might be triggering to when you express that to a woman or when you receive this as a woman. But he will always choose his highest truth above anything else. This is so crucial because if all the other things, if they're there, but then he puts the feminine on a pedestal, or you are passive and complacent, that is also not going to lead to the intimate life that you want to experience. And that is also not going to lead to trust and safety and deeper connection and intimacy with the feminine. So to summarize the four traits, number one, awakened man lives with integrity. That's his core drive. His core devotion is to be in integrity with everyone and everything. Now, the second thing is he embodies grounded spirituality. His awareness is in his body. He is embodied. He's not perfect. He doesn't do it all the time. He can get lost in his head, lost in his shadow, but he embodies that grounded spirituality where he's facing and not bypassing the true pain and trauma and whatever it is that is holding him back from fully connecting and creating the intimacy and life and relationship that he wants to create. The third one is he gives his absolute best to receive the feminine oracle, to listen to the feminine, and to also not blame the feminine for challenging him or for exposing his shadow or certain wounding or patterns or dynamics that he's showing up with that comes from wounding. He feels the gift, and even though he might be very challenged or in a moment he might lose himself in his shadow, he will always take responsibility for it, own it, because he's connected to this and he knows that this allows him to grow at the highest and most rapid level, and then also allows him to create a deepest safety and trust with the feminine. And number four is he is not a pushover. He embodies fierce love, the wild man within. He's not putting the feminine on a pedestal. He is not just passive, pleasing, complacent. He, when necessary, is going to stand powerfully in his truth, and he is going to choose his truth above all things. These are some, or perhaps the most important traits that make it really clear whether a man or you embody awakened masculinity or not. If you have gained valuable insights, realizations, breakthroughs from this episode, then it would mean the world to me if you share this with someone who you think it's going to help. Someone who can greatly benefit from the content and what we've covered in today's episode. And as well, to share it perhaps in your Instagram stories or on your socials so it reaches more people. Also, if you can subscribe to the podcast, that would really mean a lot, because then you will have every single episode when it comes out immediately in Spotify or Apple Podcast or whatever platform it is that you're using. Once again, thank you for being here, and I wish you a great day wherever you are in the world. Thank you.